Hello and welcome back. This is Vectorworks tutorial video 5. Today we'll be doing two-dimensional exercises and laying out some theater spaces. The purpose of this exercise is for you to start playing around in the space and actually start drawing something to dimension. We'll take all the tools that we've already worked on in the previous lessons, rectangle, polyline, arc, compose, double line, and so on, and we'll start putting them into practice. To that end, we're going to be drawing a two-dimensional ground plan of two different stage spaces. One is a pretty basic proscenium stage, and the other will be a smaller, more intimate black box. Once we get into 3D modeling, starting with the next video, you'll be able to then build this two-dimensional ground plan up into a fully realized 3D space, which you can then use for any of our design exercises moving forward. So think of this as starting to build your digital playground. Hi all, I am cutting in from the future. This is Future Mickey. I just wanted to mention before we move too much further that this tutorial series is by no means supposed to be a comprehensive breakdown of best practices when it comes to things like ground plans or line weights, notations, title blocks, things like that. This is really just to give you a high-level look at how to make shapes in space and how to start building out models. If you do want more guidance in terms of best practices for that kind of thing, I would consult USITT. They just got this new graphic recommended practice booklet, which will outline a lot of things like line styles, line weights, how to do your notations in CAD. The biggest takeaway, though, is going to be that whatever you end up doing, just make sure that your drawings are clear and concise and consistent. I should also mention that different institutions have different practices for what they like to see in terms of their notations. So just pay careful attention to that and make sure that whatever you're doing notation-wise is going to be clean. But again, this is not supposed to be a tutorial strictly about best practices. So moving on. So let's get started. Just a quick high-level view. Here are the spaces that we're going to draw out today. And remember, today it's just simple 2D ground plans, but I'm going to show you all of this in 3D just so you get a good idea of what we're working towards. So let's take a look here. This is the proscenium stage. Very simple. Bear in mind, too, that this is a very simplistic rendering of a stage space, so it doesn't take into account things like room for a fly space, for all of your rigging, things like that. But it's really just going to be pretty simple. For the proscenium, we're going to be drawing here, we'll draw on the stage, a little proscenium opening, some tiered seating going up, little window for the booth in the back, some larger doors in the back that would lead into a shop or a loading bay, and just a couple of doors for entry and exit. So like I said, this is pretty simplistic. It's not a real theater space. It's just something for us to practice on. And to further simplify everything, most of the doors have pretty simple dimensions as well. I believe in this, all of the doors are 3 foot wide and 7 foot high. So we're going to simplify things quite a bit. Also note that for this exercise with the proscenium stage, we're not going to worry about every single chair. Here's an overhead. We're not going to worry about placing in all of these little chairs and things like that. This is more about the practical application of basic tools in 2 dimensions. So that'll be one project today. The other one is going to be our little black box space. This is loosely based off of the Osborne Studio Theater, but it's a really intimate space. Seats anywhere from about 40 up to 150, depending on how you lay things out. So again, we've got 4 walls, a couple of doors, 1 window for the booth. So it's a much simpler shell, but what we will be doing is drawing out various different seating elements so that we can make this more of a modular unit. So you'll see here, This is what the chair layout will look like. Just different options so that when you get into using this, you can lay out the seats however you want, depending on what the needs of the show are. Now, for the sake of demonstrating this, I'll probably be bouncing back and forth between this file and a blank file where I'll be building stuff. However, in class, I'll have these files available to you. I will have printed copies of all of these plates with all the dimensions and things you'll need. I can also email these to you, or I'll post them on Canvas if you reach out. So let's go ahead and get started building our black box. So you'll see on here, what I probably want to do is simply draw out this floor first, right? You'll see on here that's 49 foot across by 41 foot high. The other good thing about this exercise is it'll just get you used to reading dimensions and kind of figuring out how a lot of these things look. So I'll draw my first box. I'm on a clean page now. I'll tab in. It was 49 foot wide by 41 foot tall. So there is the basic box. And then we can go ahead and drop in our walls around it. This is really simple. All the perimeter walls are 6 inches thick. I did that to kind of just simplify everything. So I can do a couple different ways, but I'll probably use my double line tool. Make sure I am creating polygons. And I'll simply set that to 6 inches. Now I just take that and trace around here. There we go. So that is all in there. I can combine these into a single wall, or I can leave them all separate so that I can turn them on or off later. I'll probably just leave all of these separate for now. Actually, since we're just doing two-dimensional, I will go ahead and combine them. When we get into 3D, I think we'll want to keep them separate. So I'll just select all 4 of those and go to Modify, Add Surface. And so now you'll see it's a single object. Now I want that, because it's a solid wall, to have a slightly different look. You'll notice in here it's got this fill. So I have it selected, and I'll just go ahead and put a pattern on it. And I can pick whichever pattern I want. So that is our outer wall. Now we just need to lay in where all of our doors and everything are. Like I said, this is going to be simple. All of these doors, similar to the other stage, are 3 foot wide. So this double door is 6 foot, 6 foot, 3 foot, 3 foot, and 6 foot. And you'll notice too, all of them are just 1 foot off of the wall. Trying to make this pretty simple. The actual Osborne stage is much more nuanced than that. But this should make things a little easier. Now, marking out, so we want to come up from this corner over this way 1 foot. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can draw a line, but what I usually tend to do is just put in a dummy shape that I can just delete as soon as I'm done using it to measure. So for example, I'm going to be dropping in little doors in here. I know that it starts 1 foot over here, so I'll just draw a double line there, tab 1 foot. So that puts me a foot away, and then I know that this door is actually 6 foot long, tab 6 foot. There we go. And then I'll just get rid of this dummy. So now I know that's where that door goes. Now, dropping our actual door in here, the symbol for a door. So this door would be 3 foot long, right? It would swing out. So I just pull here a straight line down, 3 foot. And then I probably want that a little bit thicker. Now we have to draw the arc that connects from here to here. You'll notice when we do doors, you have this arc that traces the path of the swinging door. So to do an arc like that, I would probably grab my arc tool with radius mode, and I would put my radius right here where the hinge is, and then click up where your door is, and it'll swing straight down to there. And I don't want any fill in that. You can, if you're so inclined, you can add a little arrow, a little leader, but for this, I would say don't worry about it. Now, here's where we get into where mirroring comes in pretty handy. So select what you want to mirror. I want to mirror this and this. Grab your little mirror tool and then just click right in the center. And there's your next one. To make it even easier, you'll notice that this door, double door set, 1 foot off the wall over here, is identical over here as well, 1 foot off the wall. So I'll just come into here. I'll select this whole thing. And I'll click to the center of the room or to the center of this wall. It's all the same. Mirror it, and that drops it right in there. So already you'll see how some of these tools can really help you kind of speed up your workflow. So those are our double doors. We've got another set of double doors up there. Let's go ahead and drop those in. Again, I'll probably just grab this, copy, paste, rotate it, and now I just need to put it in space. I like to keep my rotate tool on standard mode. So we still need to find our 1 foot here. So again, I'll just make a little dummy line. 1 foot down, so now I know. This can just click into there. Get rid of this. And there we go. The other couple doors, we want just a single door over here. And again, 1 foot down on this side would be 1 foot down on this side, so we can mirror that, right? I will select this because I don't need the bottom door, and I'll go ahead and select this anyways. I'll mirror those over. There you go. Then I just need to adjust this. So selection tool, pull it up, and it'll snap to the end of that arc. Super easy. The last thing we have is a door similar to this down on this corner. Again, the dimensions are the same. It's 1 foot off the wall. I'll grab it. Oop. There we go. The last thing we need to do is drop our little window in here for the booth. That, it looks like 15 foot, is centered right on this back wall. And it's 5 foot wide. So, with snapping enabled, we'll be able to snap right to the center of that wall. I'm going to go back to my double line, and I'll use center control line, because I know I'm going to be able to place this right on the center and just draw. Instead of 6 inches, I'm going to make this 5 foot wide. So you'll see here, if I click on the center, and when I hit it, it'll lock in and it'll say bottom center. Then I just draw down, and there's our window. Now I want to, because it's a window, I'd put a dashed line in here. So I just draw a simple line, and then again under pen, I can choose line type. And that'll give me a dashed line. And really, that's the shell. Let's jump over now and take a look at some of the seating components. So these are the different seating components. We have a couple that have this kind of angle on it. And again, a reminder, this is not the exact seating components used in the Osborne. So if you do end up designing in that space, just know that these are not the real dimensions. Once again, I've simplified things a little bit. For example, I made this a 45-degree angle instead of, I think it was like 38. It was something pretty random. And then we have simply a straight seating section. So let's go ahead and we'll just build these off to the side here. Actually, let me grab all of this first. And let's make that a class and its own layer. So I've got all of this together. I can go ahead and group that if I wanted to, just so that we can't get in and mess things up. So I group that, Control G. Now it's one big thing. I can go ahead and lock it right into the center of the page. So grab that, and I'll make all of this a new class. I'll call that 2D ground plan. And I'll create a new design layer as well, called ground plan. Great, so that's there. So I am now in design layer 1, and I'll actually rename this. You can rename from right here, just click that little pencil. I'll rename this layer seating. So now I can go ahead and start drawing in my seating. Let's start with this one because it's a little simpler. 32 foot across. Each of these platforms are 3 foot. And then all of these steps are 4 foot across by 1 foot 8, or 1 foot 6, 18 inches. So I'll go ahead. I'm probably going to use double line again. That's kind of my go-to. I'm going to make that 3 foot wide, since all of our platforms are 3 foot wide. If you're getting a little lost on the dimensions here, just bear in mind when you're actually running this in class, you'll have the printout with you, so you'll have a nice quick reference. But we're running 32 feet across, 3 of those platforms. Click, tab, 32 feet. And actually it did not, for some reason it did not go in, but I can change it right here. There we go, 32 feet, easy enough to change up here in your object info. And then I'll continue just dropping in my second and my third one. So there are my platforms. Now we just got to add these little steps. 1, 2, 3 on each side. They're 4 foot by 18 inches. So I'll change this from 3 foot down to 18 inches. That across 4 foot. Tab. Didn't quite get there. 4 foot. That's when I messed up. But it's easy enough again just to change that. So now I've got my 3 steps on that side. And I'll just click to a center point here and mirror it over. Now I've got that. I'll group it up, Control G. And there's our first seating component. If we wanted to add in seats at this point, we could, but I don't think we're going to have to do that. Let's go ahead and do this one's a little trickier, right? So this one has the same 3. You'll notice, look up here, it has the 3 platforms with the steps coming down. This has the exact same 3 platforms and the steps coming down. However, it's cut on this 45-degree angle. And it starts at only 28 feet wide, so it's a smaller section. But much of the process is going to be the same. So I will start with my double line tool. I'll set it to 3 feet, and I'll just punch in those platforms first. It comes across 28 feet. And then there's a second one and a third one. And this line cuts in at 45 degrees. So I'll just grab a line here, and I'll use this as a guide, similar to when I was finding those other measurements. I'll just drop this in as a guide and then come back and delete it when I'm done playing. So I'll drop that in at 45 degrees. 45 degrees. So basically what we need to do is we can cut this. There's a couple different ways we could do this. We could open up this reshape tool, which gives you the little box. I could just drag to there, to there. There. So that's one way to do it. The other way you could do it is now between these lines and this polygon, we've formed the shape in there. You can open up your 2D polygon tool and get this little fill bucket and just fill in there. So that gives us that shape. So go ahead and delete all the extra stuff we don't need anymore. And there's our platforms. Now we just need to add in the steps. The steps are 18 inches as well and 4 foot across at its widest point. So come back over here. So our steps are 18 inches. There's one here. Comes across at 4 foot. Here that comes across at 4 foot. And there's another one here that comes across at 4 foot. So again, I'll manipulate these a couple different ways just so you can see. Double click the corner to bring up your reshape. Oop, that one's good. Let's try this one again using just our little 2D fill bucket. So go up to 2D polygon, grab your little fill bucket. Boop. And we filled that in. But what I do need to do is get rid of this and that line that I dropped, just to keep it clean. And then the other way to do something like this would be just to copy it, make one and then copy it, paste it, and drop that in. And then of course, you probably know what's coming up. We'll just grab those and mirror. Then I'll group everything together, Control G, or you can also group up here and modify. And now we have that. So now if we wanted to, we could take these and we can place them into our little theater. Oops. You'll see here the seating layer is below the ground plan layer. So I can change that so I can see my seating on top. I'll open up my organization and just drag seating up to the top. And now we can see our seating up here. You can just grab that and then start to put it wherever you need. And that is our black box theater. All right, so now we're going to take a look at building out this proscenium theater. This is a lot of the similar processes. So let's go ahead and jump right in. This is some of the dimensions that we're going to be working with. I'll be referencing this, similar to the last time. Again, you'll have this printed out in class, or I can email a PDF of all the actual dimensions to you. So I'm going to create a new file to build this one in. File, new, and just create a blank document. So here is our new working file. Let me just drag this over and reorder some of this a little bit. All right, blank file, and here's what we're going to be doing. Now, as I'm looking at this, probably the easiest way to start would be to start with just our big shapes and then kind of work down into the smaller shapes. So for example, we want to probably draw in just that big rectangle first. And those dimensions are 85 foot by 50 foot across. So I'll come over to my blank one, draw a little rectangle, tab, 50 feet across, and 85 feet. Oh, I can tab again. I had accidentally punched in 50 inches instead of 50 foot. But you can just keep tabbing across from one to the other until you get it right. And when you have it, hit return. Then up here I can confirm that I did that right, 50 foot by 85 foot. Breaking this down even further, one thing to note on a proscenium theater is your plaster line is going to be really a main reference point for a lot of what you're doing. So a lot of the dimensions that I'm taking on here are from this plaster line. So it might be something where we want to add that in pretty early in the process. But looking at the other big pieces left, I would say the stage piece, we can block that out, and then probably all of this seating mess down there, we probably want to block that in as well. Let me actually make this something so it's easier for you to see when I'm drawing over things. So let's start with our stage, actually. I think if we start here and we draw in a box here, then we'll just need to come back and put in the little arc. So that should be easy enough. This box, if you look at your dimensions here, is 35 foot deep by, again, 50 foot across. So I'll come over here and foot by, like I said, it was 35. Tab, and because I'm drawing down from where my first click was, it's going to be a negative, so it'll be 50 foot auto-filled correctly because it locked in, and then negative 35 foot. So that is good to go. Now we just need to make this little scoop here. And you'll notice the difference of this arc. It terminates at the ends of that first box we drew in, and then it comes out 3 foot at the center point. So to do that, what I would probably do, I would grab my line tool, I'd snap into the center of this, and I'll just draw a line down 3 foot. So now it's just a matter of connecting these points in a perfect arc. To do that, you can use your arc tool. I would use my 3-point mode and just 1, 2, 3. So now we have our arc there. The other thing you could do, then to kind of combine all that, you could go to your 2D polygon, grab your lasso, oops, and just combine all of that. So now we've got our stage space. We can get rid of all this. We can get rid of this. And then we'll just drag this right back. Snap it there. So that's our stage space now. You'll notice we don't have the proscenium little walls on there yet. That's because I'm thinking it'll be easier just to come in a little bit later and drop all of our walls in at the same time. What we may want to do now is drop in our plaster line, and that is at 30 foot. So you'll notice the dimension here, 30 feet from the back wall to this line. So let's go ahead and drop that in. Again, because I just love my double line tool for measuring. I'll just do that so that I know that this is exactly 30 feet. Then I'll just draw a line across here. I'm going to make that a dotted dashed line. And I'll probably make it red just so that it's a little easier to parse out from a lot of the other objects. Now this piece I dropped in here just to measure, I'll just get rid of that. So there is our plaster line. Next, I'll probably start working on this tiered seating section. 6 foot is this back aisleway, and then each tier is 3 feet, moving all the way down. It might be easier for me to work if I just block out this whole thing. And then I know that everything in here will be part of the seating. This measurement is 39 feet from there to there. And I know this back one is 6 foot, and every subsequent section is 3 foot. So I'll start by just making a 39-foot box. Here, come over and lock into 50, and tab over to my Y is 39 foot. There we go. Then we know that back aisle is 6 feet. So I'll use my double line, and I'll just make that 6 feet. Click, drag. Then I know every subsequent one up to here is 3 feet. So I'll change my double line to 3 foot. And I will just lay these in. If it's moving too slowly for you, or if you wanted to do, or if you have to do, say, 100 of these, you can just grab a bunch of them and mirror them. But I don't necessarily want to do that. So we need one more 3-foot section. There. And that is our seating area. This big box that encapsulates everything, I can get rid of it if I want to, or it can stay there. It doesn't really seem to be bothering anyone. Actually, I'll need to add one more. There. Okay, so that's our seating and our stage area. Let's go ahead and drop in our walls. You'll note on here that all of the walls are 1 foot thick. And they basically go around the entire perimeter, and then they come in just downstage of your plaster line. And those are 10 foot long off each side. So now I'll grab my double line tool. Just confirm that it's set for 1 foot wide. And then I will just start making little walls around here. I'm zooming in and out with my scroll wheel on the mouse as I go, just to make sure that I'm locking into the points I want to lock into. There we go. And then we'll add in our proscenium walls here. They come in just downstage of our plaster line, and they are 10 foot long. So I'll just tab 10 foot. There we go. And I could just mirror that over to the other side, but I want to show you something as well. So when I come over here and I try to make the same line here, it's actually coming in above the plaster line. Again, just reminding, with the double line tool, you have different modes. So if I click on the line and run across, it'll put it on top. Then I can have center mode. If I click in the exact same spot, it'll split that line, and this one will bring us in downstage. 10 foot. There we are. Now I'll go ahead and grab, holding shift and select. I'll select all my little walls, and then I'll just add them together. Add surface. So now all of my walls are solid. All we have to do now is go in and drop in our doors and our booth window. So very similar to our last one, where all of these doors, except for these loading doors, are 3 foot. This one similarly is 1 foot off of the wall. These ones are 3 foot off of the wall. So let's go ahead and start on that. Let's put a pattern in this just so we can keep an eye on it. So these first ones are 3 foot off the wall. I'll just draw that to kind of measure it out. Here's the other thing too. You can actually copy things between files. So if I go to my black box one, I could grab some of these, edit that group. I can grab this and just copy them. And go back to my other document. I can just paste them out here. Oops. So if I wanted to, I could just take that and spin it around and drop it in over here. Grab this, come up 3 foot. And then we have another 3 foot for our door. I'll just grab this and this. Clunk, and there we are. This little measuring stick can go away. Oops. Select that. And I'll just mirror that across our center line. We have our other one over here. Now our double doors come in. Those are going to be 6 foot wide. And they come in from the plaster line 8 foot down to where these start. I'll go up to my plaster line, come down 8 foot. And that's where my double doors start. 3 foot, 6 foot. There we are. Get rid of my little spacer. Grab this, Control C to copy. There we are. There we are. And we have one more door down here. I'll rotate that so that it's going the right way. And that comes in just 1 foot from here. If you didn't want to use a spacer, I can just drop it into the corner, and then I'll grab that and start pulling it up. As I'm pulling it up, you'll see my dialog box that says how far I've moved it. If I didn't want to use a spacer, I just grab it, start dragging it up, tab. Now I'm in there, say at 1 foot. And now it's just moved that up 1 foot. Pretty easy. Looking now, we just have to do our center window, which is 10 foot. And that's centered on the back wall. So I will draw this double line at 10 foot. So it'll be 10 foot wide. I'll go to the center control line, start at my midpoint, and draw down. Again, for a window, I'll put a double dash line in here. So I'll just draw a regular line, change that to line type dashed. And you can change this from dashed. You have all sorts of different lines you could be doing. I usually just keep it on dashed. And then we have to do our double doors up here. Oops, this is done. The double doors are also 10 foot wide, centered on that back wall. 20 foot in, 10 foot door, 20 foot across. So I already have this set for 10 feet, my double line. I'll just, again, center, draw up, and there's my 10 feet. Now on a 10-foot door, the doors would be 5 foot wide, so I'll just draw a line up, 5 foot. And I'll make that a little thicker. And then I'll do the arc. Again, I'm on center radius mode, so I click once for the radius. I am not on radius mode. Now I am on radius mode. Center radius and sweep over to there. Get rid of the fill. Now I can select both of these. And then I'll just mirror those across to there. And there we have it. I believe that is our entire proscenium theater. Again, what I'll do is probably grab all of this together and just group it. Control G, or you can go up to Modify, Group. Now I'll take this whole thing, and once again, I'll put it onto a new layer. We'll just call that Ground Plan, GP. And I'll create a new class as well. Oh, there is another class in here already for 2D Ground Plan. So I'll take all of this and I'll change it. The class is now 2D Ground Plan. Yes. And the layer will be on Ground Plan. There we go. Oh, the one thing I did not do is my center line. So I'm in a group here, right? To get in and edit that group, I just right click and edit. Now I can go ahead and draw in whatever I want to do without ungrouping everything. So my center line will just run from there up to there. And we'll do that red, line type, dashed. Actually, it probably wants to be dash dotted. But dashed will work for now. Exit my group. There we go. All right, that is it. You should now have 2 clean files to work with. Save these files. So save this one as proscenium 2D project, whatever it is, black box project. And then next time you want to get into work with these, try not to overwrite. You want to have a nice clean file, so every time you go to start a show, you can pull this up and you don't have to start from scratch every time. Next up, we're going to be working through some 3D modeling, and then we'll be able to take these 2D ground plans and build them up and turn them into actual 3D buildings so that you can start rendering your designs in these spaces. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.